All right. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I will be your host today. My name is Eric Cross, and I lead sales and digital marketing efforts for Alibaba.com in North America. We are joined today by Karim Kfuri, president of the Atlas Network, and we're going to jump into a very special session with Karim, where we're going to look into some of the big considerations around B2B e-com channel plays, his own experience with Alibaba.com specifically, and some general items around supply chain and other important topics for small business owners around the world. So without further delay, let's jump into the main bit of content. So today, I will start by just giving a very brief overview of Alibaba.com, where it sits in the ecosystem, and some of the tools and functionalities that help small businesses succeed in the global marketplace. Then we're going to introduce Karim from the Atlas Network before we jump into an insider Q&A with him. And then we finally will open the floor to questions from the audience. So just to get started here, very high level, Alibaba.com's mission is to make it easy to do business anywhere. And specifically in the Alibaba.com context, that means helping small businesses do international trade. Alibaba.com was the very first business unit founded in Alibaba Group about 25 years ago with a unique proposition to focus on B2B e-commerce. And it is the leading platform for this, with over 150 million registered buyers, of which about a quarter are highly active buyers, meaning they are engaging with suppliers on a daily or a regular basis, placing orders, sending inquiries, and so on. We host basically every category under the sun of physical product, even some business services along with those. And you will find millions of listings in around 6,000 unique product categories. So where Alibaba.com sits in Alibaba Group's ecosystem hasn't changed much, although a lot of business units have popped up around us in the ecosystem since our founding. So we are the international commerce B2B division, not to be confused with our wholesale division that has a strictly China focus, that is 1688. Or any of our D2C platforms like Taobao, Tmall, or even Tmall Global. So why we are so focused on that B2B industry? Well, you can see that the size of the prize is about 6 times larger. This is a lot to do with the complexity of global supply chains, all of the capabilities and value adds that go into every node on those value chains. And Alibaba.com has really risen to the challenge to provide tools and functionalities for businesses across the supply chain. And what we have developed over the past 25 years is really a full suite marketplace, which we consider a hybrid model, meaning that merchants can promote their products, they can offer transaction support in platform, meaning buyers can simply add a product to cart, which is somewhat uncommon for B2B marketplaces. And then, of course, they can stick to the traditional track and generate a lot of inquiries and business opportunities by listing and promoting products here. Just to give a sense of the scope of our buyers, we have, as I mentioned, over 150 million registered buyers, of which about 25% are very active on the platform. And you'll see the main markets here on the right. We have lots of North America representation, as well as some from Europe, Oceania, and really it's around the world. But one key trend you're going to find is that the buyer bases in Commonwealth and former Commonwealth countries will tend to have a very large representation. And this is often because of the the synergies among the common law legal jurisdictions. So what our buyers are really trying to achieve by engaging with suppliers and product on the platform is, of course, find more competitive pricing, find products that are not readily available to them in their traditional supply lines. Of course, these are all the same types of considerations that any buyer in any context is going to have, right? Price, quality, quantity, reliability, and so on. And what they are achieving through their sourcing efforts on the platform is really one of these main three buckets, either to create new products. So they're looking for OEM and white label suppliers who can manufacture their goods, trading companies who are taking advantage of, say, regional arbitrage or access to different distribution networks, and finally, institutional operators, so hospitals, hotels, schools, and so on. And what Alibaba's role in this mix is to provide the most efficient trading experiences possible. And we have a number of tools, functions that I've mentioned, as well as programs. And you can see some examples here, including online trade shows, TrueView, and other interactive elements that can really shorten the decision-making time with your business buyers. So why companies would like to join Alibaba.com to sell their products around the world? Well, if that's not good enough justification, you can see that we operate just the one global marketplace, meaning that you will enjoy global exposure regardless of your primary markets or where you are based. Meaning you are competing with suppliers from around the world to approach buyers as well from around the world. We don't have variable costs other than in the form of advertising, which are completely optional. You pay membership. We charge 0% commission. There's not hidden fees that we tack on later, and so you really have a good idea of what you're investing, and then your return all goes right into your pocket. We have a number of support functions. Notably in the North American region, we have a program called KSP, where you get to enjoy an account manager from our team who's essentially an extension of your own team. And they're going to offer crucial guidance throughout your onboarding, achieving your quarterly and annual milestones and beyond. And finally, my favorite element or feature of the platform is that you really enjoy full control of your pricing, what activities you want to join, what your MOQ structures are going to be, and which buyers you decide to follow up with versus no thanksing their business. So that covers just a real quick introduction to Alibaba.com. And now I'm very delighted to introduce Karim Kafuri, who is the president of the Atlas Network, which is a 2+ year seller on Alibaba.com. Notably, our very first verified supplier in the United States market. What Atlas Network does is quite a large variety of OEM manufacturing, supply chain solutions, and project management. And you can see some examples of some of their key product types being glass packaging, plastic packaging, and some luxury custom products. They're based really nearby to where we're sitting today, here in Delaware, US. So without any further ado, I'd like to just welcome Karim to the scene. And just for everyone in attendance's reference, I will share his links here. Karim, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Eric. I really appreciate it. And of course, I always appreciate the opportunity to speak about my experience with Alibaba. So I'm very happy to be here and happy to discuss, anything we want to kind of get into, and my experiences so far in global supply chain solutions and how Alibaba's been a big part of that, even from the very, very beginning. So feel free to lead off the conversation and we can kind of go wherever you'd like to go.
Great. Well, why don't we start with some high level items as well here, and why don't you just give us a quick introduction?
Sure.
Who is Karim Kafuri? What is the Atlas Network, and what are you working on every day?
Sure. Well, basically, my name is Karim Kafuri. I'm the president CEO of the Atlas Network. Most recently, in the last year plus, I've been doing a lot of thought leadership related work, where I've gone to many conferences and events, and I speak about best practices and protocols around supply chain solutions and how to basically facilitate the best outcomes in global supply chain processes. And to that effect, I've even just come out with a recent book, which we were discussing a little bit ago, which is Supply Chain Seesaw, which is available at supplychainseesaw.com. And where I speak about, sort of the A to the Z of the global mass production and supply chain solutions process. As far as, my company is concerned, the Atlas Network, and what we do is we essentially work with business to business, primarily SMBs, and then even larger ones that have certain levels of disruptions in their supply chain to make a better supply chain process. And there's so many aspects to what that is. But primarily, it's a mechanism of learning about customers' requirements, their pain points, their problems, and really being able to craft an entire A to Z solution that meets their needs. And Alibaba it has been since the very beginning. We almost started around the same time that Alibaba did, has been a part of that process. We have a certain role now in the last few years, being, as you said, the first verified US supplier of Alibaba, but we've been using the tools and the platform for years and years and years. So, very happy again to be speaking about that.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that. And since you mentioned having used the platform for sourcing and networking previously, could you just quickly run through what you used it before you became a supplier and how that's changed?
Sure. So, historically, you just can't get a larger scale and reach database than Alibaba when it comes to global trade. We have always been agnostic regarding which suppliers to work with and speak with and facilitate productions on behalf of our customers. And Alibaba has always been just a great tool to sort of manage that process, starting out with gold rated suppliers and what kind of quantitative and qualitative factors are being measured in different supplier profiles, and being able to really drill down into different product categories to really get at, kind of the best of the best outcome, so that you could, from that point, then begin to have, proper conversations, dialogues, and communications on the platform. And also, we're fortunate enough that we have offices in different parts of the world where we have our own teams, and we're able to meet with these suppliers. We're able to sit with them and discuss with them and facilitate communication that definitely starts on the platform and in a digital way, but can go offline as well. So that was, historically, that was sort of the ways that we would utilize the platform. And then, in the last several years, some of the things you've mentioned as far as being a supplier on the platform of services and products and things of that nature, taking advantage of the mechanisms such as, the verified programs, trade assurance, when it comes to marketing and advertising, some of the KSP, as you mentioned before, doing online advertising through the platform to then really attract pretty much the right sort of businesses that are looking for the things that we do or provide. So, moving away from just being more of an R&D type of a tool to being more of a transactional based tool where business can be facilitated and projects can be effectively regarded and viewed and even managed with a certain level of visibility through the platform and the tools that are offered on the platform.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that. And if you just had to mention one tool that you enjoy now as a supplier compared to a buyer, would any stand out?
I'm getting really excited about a lot of the sourcing tools and some of the like AI ideation type of tools. The sort of product match type of tools are very interesting, where you can kind of take a picture of something and then it then will look through the entire database and come up with products that are similar to what you're looking for. Really, those kinds of mechanisms make the procurement process part of this much easier and simpler. And I do believe that as Alibaba continues to develop these technologies and innovations, that's really where the true benefits will come about, where we're able to effectively streamline, not just the procurement process, but the production process, and then even the inventories sort of like reordering process. And it becomes an entire life cycle that, gets started, works through, gets completed, and then comes back again full circle through sort of an Alibaba environment. So these are the things that are exciting. I'm sorry, that wasn't one thing, that was like four things, but they're sort of all interconnected in different ways. And we use them all the time, and use them to do the best work that we can do for all of our customers that need global supply chain solutions.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for that. And yeah, it is hard because sometimes the key functionalities have integrations with other tools that we have, and so it's really useful to understand the suite of options, so you can really affect a unique operating model with the platform. So moving on to just how you set up your own operating model and how you position the Atlas network on Alibaba.com. So could you just highlight a couple of the key ways that you compete with other suppliers in your space on Alibaba?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all starts with having a very effective storefront. We have a great storefront that Alibaba helped us to facilitate, to build out a very user-friendly interface where customers or people, businesses that were coming to look for the kinds of services and supplier-related functions that we provide could be able to easily access, get a reference idea of the kinds of things that we do, and be able to view this via pictures and videos and additional descriptions in a very user-friendly type of way, and then be able to communicate with us, then send us requests, inbound RFQs that we're able to then look at and sort through, and then be able to further have additional conversations with these would-be businesses or buyers on how we can best assist them. So, again, I always have said that Alibaba's greatest asset as a company has been communication. It really has worked to streamline the communication between the various entities that are looking to facilitate global trade through technology and through this platform. And that's really, I think, been the benefit of where we are today. Really strong storefront, thousands of products that we produce and work within, all being reflected in an easy, single to use place where customers can really be able to interact and then ask their relevant questions, and then business can then go forward from there.
Got it. Thanks again. So moving on to, let's say that you were talking to somebody, a business partner or a friend who was exploring Alibaba.com for their own business. Now, without getting into specifics about them, what kind of advice would you offer for their consideration process?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Obviously, if they're a supplier of some type of a product or otherwise, then it's to have a presence on Alibaba, their own presence, where they're able to do some of the things that I talked about, which is calling out their services, calling out their product catalog, really being able to effectively and professionally represent that so that they can be in front of millions of buyers that want what they have. So really, in that case, it's from a representation standpoint. On the flip side, if it was a business that's more looking into kind of buying on Alibaba or more of the procurement type of a process, I mean, you really just can't get a better place from an R&D standpoint, from an understanding the industry standpoint. Let's say you have a product and you've never made it before. You can quickly be able to go on Alibaba, find out what things may exist that are very similar to what you're trying to do, or manufacturers or suppliers who produce goods that are quite similar to that, and quickly be able to understand the landscape, the business landscape, get an idea of pricing, get an idea of MOQs, an idea of timelines, so on. That kind of quick feedback sometimes can be the difference between a go, no go with regards to a product or a new SKU or a category. So again, depending upon what kind of business you are or what you're trying to do, the platform can serve different purposes. But either way, global trade, whether you're representing your services or you're looking to facilitate work through a platform like this and with those types of suppliers, there's a room and a place for all of those kinds of folks.
Got it. And should anybody ask you specifically about exporting as a U.S. business, what kind of tips would you have for how they could set up their Alibaba presence to have a quick effect?
So, I mean, it all starts again, as I said before, with having the right presence and the right conveyance of your information about your service and what you do and the products you produce. If it comes to things such as exporting, information that's important is going to be such as weights and dimensions and, different kinds of relevant ports that are close by to where your productions may be happening, so people can have an understanding on where goods may be transiting from. So they can then be able to determine things such as trade routes, shipping rates, and then any kind of export related costs such as duties and tariffs. So really, I think the advice would be to be as forthcoming with as much information as you can about what your products are and how you're looking to create an export market. And then customers can then be able to make educated decisions around not just the pricing of goods, but also the pricing of the rest of the supply chain, which includes the shipping and transport side as well.
Fantastic. Now, I think we got time for one more before we jump into some of the audience questions. And with that, I will also just mention, feel free to shoot us your questions should you be on the live stream at the moment. So last question would just be about the types of resources. So what specific resources were you most impressed by in terms of support, onboarding, and service when you joined Alibaba?
Yes, I mean, in today's digital economy, we lose track of the human being, and I think the role and the importance of how communication between people is very important. And what I would tell you is that for as large of a company as Alibaba is, I have never once felt as though I or my company or my team were ever sort of resorted to just a digital solution. There's always been a scenario, at least in our programs here with the verified supplier programs, where we've had human interactions, been to the offices in New York, been to the office in Hangzhou, went to the headquarters there, and have really been able to have a very, one-on-one great communication process with our representatives that have represented our account. And that's refreshing. That's really refreshing. And even more so for such a large scale company to be able to offer that kind of level of attention to this initiative, the initiative of really building out, higher quality suppliers and really building, proper networks. So I've been very impressed with that. But regardless, I mean, the communication tools are there otherwise. There's great chat functionalities. There's all kinds of things where you can get answers to things quickly. But in my case, if I was to say, in the last couple of years of working together, it's absolutely been the refreshing aspect of a good human connection. I mean, you and I, Eric, we know each other now well, and I love the fact that we can talk and that we can have discussions with others within the Alibaba organization. So,
oh, likewise, we're delighted to have you in the office anytime.
Thank you.
So let me show you everybody Kareem's links one more time while we pull up some of these audience questions here. Okay. So the first one here for you, Kareem. This is from John in California, who would just like to know if you have any tips for quickly selling product on Alibaba.com.
Hey, John, thank you for the question. Yeah, I mean, get a little storefront started, list as many great pictures of the product that you have. And if you can, have some assistance with some of the folks from the Alibaba team to make sure that your storefront is as visible as it can be, because honestly, a lot of this comes down to algorithms and different kind of aspects where the system has to sort of see things in a particular way in order for you to really be most visible on the platform. And just get started. It's very, very important to just kind of get started there. And it won't be a magic bullet. Sometimes, you put up the presence, you put up the products and everything else, and it may take a couple of weeks until the system starts to learn how to best represent your products or your services to the markets that most need it. But it just starts with getting started right away.
Perfect. Thanks for that. This one from James, no location. So this one's about advertising. I know we mentioned it a couple of times briefly. Just what kind of advertising tools you have enjoyed on Alibaba.com?
Sure. So, I mean, James, thank you for the question as well. We've enjoyed the keywords for sure, where you're able to essentially determine an arena of keywords that are most important for your product or your services, and basically own those keywords on the Alibaba platform for a particular period of time, 6 months, a year, whatever it may be. And that is the most direct way to get customers who are looking for exactly what you do, or things that are very similar to what you do, to your storefront, to your services. So I really think that takes out a lot of the guesswork. Whereas when, because it's much easier to bring your services to people who are looking for what you do than to kind of work it the other way around. And so I believe that that's a great aspect of the Alibaba platform on the advertising side, which is the purchasing of keywords that are related to your products and services.
Fantastic. And one last one, Teresa in Canada would like to know if Alibaba.com is for selling your products to China.
If Alibaba.com is for selling products to China, well, Alibaba.com is for selling products to anywhere, really. And it really comes down to who the customer is and what it is that you sell. So if there are Chinese businesses or individuals that are buyers that want to buy your product, then yes, it would be a platform that would be for selling products to China or Chinese, groups. Like, for example, there are many US-based spirits companies that have had an interest in doing exportation to markets in Asia and have used Alibaba as a mechanism to kind of show their products and their services. And there are other products similar to that, which may not be as common or not readily available in the Asia market, where selling to those markets using a platform like Alibaba could be very useful. But the reality of it is that if you go on Alibaba, you can find suppliers from anywhere in the world. You can find buyers from anywhere in the world. And that's why it is truly a global trading platform in that way.
Great. And I've just got one more to add on since China was brought up. Could you tell me what was your experience in Hangzhou? How did that meet your expectations?
That was amazing. And that is a experience that if anybody has a chance to do that or to go and see that campus, it's not a building, it's a campus, several campuses actually. It's really something unbelievable. There is so much going on there that it's just, it blows your mind. I loved it. It was an amazing environment. The people were so friendly and welcoming. Had several meetings, met several individuals while I was there, conducted some great interviews while I was there. They were very welcoming to me being there. And so I can't speak highly enough about it. If you do go to that area of Hangzhou, it's situated in a beautiful area as well, where there's a great lake there called the West Lake, and you can kind of go down by the waterfront, and there's amazing seafood in the area. And that entire city is really being transformed as a digital city. So it was just an amazing experience. If you get a chance to go to China and you can go visit, it's worthwhile for sure.
Yeah, let me just plus one to that. Having lived in Hangzhou for about 6 years of my life. So with that, I would just like to remind everyone. Well, first, thanks for joining. Here are Kareem's links. Let me just plug his book one more time. If you check out Kareem's LinkedIn, I'm sure you'll find it there. Looking forward to getting a copy myself. So thanks so much for joining us, Kareem, for the session. Very informative, and thanks everybody in attendance today. And wish you all the very best of business.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Cheers.